Welcome back to the Cottage on the Lake. I'm Mary Matz, creator of TwistedYarns.com. This is the second segment of the Flower Power Afghan crochet class. So, let's start with our background motif. The reason I call it the background motif is because when you get the flower motifs, some of the flowers will actually overlap onto the backgrounds, and so you want to have enough background motifs to offset the size of the flowers. So let's start. With my center color of your choice, I'm going to form a slip knot by twisting over and making a crossover loop, and I like to put my two fingers, my thumb and my index finger between there, and just pinch it and pull it through. There's other ways to do it, but it's basically a slip knot. I slip that on my H hook, and then using both strands of the yarn, the 5-inch tail and the feeder yarn, I am going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to insert my hook into the very first chain, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. Now, notice my little yarn tail is just back there. It's going to get buried, and then I don't have to weave it in. So now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work 2 more double crochets. To form a little block. We're going to chain 2 for the corner, and then work 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2 for the second corner. Now we're going to do 3 more double crochets, but I'm going to go very slow so the beginners can see how you make the double crochet. You yarn over the hook, insert the hook into the ring, pull up a loop, so now you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over the hook, and pull through 2 more. That's a double crochet. Let's do it again in slow motion. Yarn over hook, insert into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do it one more time. Yarn over the hook, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to do a chain, 1, 2 chains, and we're going to do the final side. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2. And remember how we did 3 chains at the beginning of this round? We're going to count out from the base, 1, 2, 3, right here. We're going to insert our hook, and we're going to do a slip stitch to complete the round. Now, isn't that a nice little square? But if you look at each one of these squares, there's at least 2 rows of the center color. So let's do the second row. 1, 2, 3 chains up. That represents the first double crochet. Now we're going to do a double crochet into the top loops, the top 2 loops of the very next double crochet. So let's look at that very carefully. I'm yarned over, I'm inserting my hook under both loops, I'm pulling up a loop and completing the double crochet. So I have this chain up counts as the first double crochet, and it's over the chain up in the row below. This double crochet is over this one. The next double crochet also gets a double crochet into it. So I inserted my hook here, pull through 2 and pull through 2. So you see how I have 3 right above the 3 in the previous round. But in addition, I'm going to do the corners. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the corner, 1, 2, I should say 2 double crochets into the corner space. Then I'm going to chain 2 to form the corner space on this round, and I'm going to do 2 more double crochets into that corner space to complete and turn the corner. So now we have just completed the corner of the second round. Now we're going to work 3 double crochets, 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 double crochets. But double crochets kind of sit on an angle. So if you look carefully, this is where a lot of people are going to make a mistake. They're going to think the next double crochet is this space. It isn't. You have to pull back a little bit, and you see that the double crochet is actually the first double crochet. The 2 loops is actually right there. Let me show you again. Right there. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2 to complete that double crochet. And you see how it almost looks like it's in that space? But you got to be careful of that because you can lose stitches. And in this pattern, it's very important that you make sure as you're going into a new side that you pick up that first double crochet very carefully. So we're going to, now we can see this very easily. We're going to do a double crochet in each of the next 2. Those are easy to see. Okay, now we're at the corner space. You see how that last one sort of leans over? You almost think it's this one, but it isn't. See? Okay, now we're going to do 2 double crochets into the corner to complete this side. Chain 2 for the to make the corner space. And then we're going to do another 2 double crochets to start the next side. But we're doing those into the corner space. Now once again, this is where people can get confused. Let's look at it again. We're going to pull those tight or into the corner. This one is the very first. This is where the double loop is. This very first stitch. Yarn over, insert the hook under both loops of that stitch, and then complete the double crochet. The next stitch. Now, as we're doing this, oh, look at that, we're at the corner, next corner space. So let's do 2 double crochets to complete this side. Now, let's take a look at what we have. Each side has 2 double crochets in the first corner space, 3 across the side, and 2 here. That makes 7 double crochets on this round. Each side will have 7 on each side. Now we're going on, we did the chain 2 for the space. We're going to make sure we get 1, 2, 3. And then we're to the last space. Yarn over, work 1 double crochet, a second double crochet, 1, 2 for the corner space, and we have to finish this corner space. Now on this one we already have that chain up is the first, is already taking care of that first double crochet on the side. So let's do 2 double crochets to start the side. And then we're going to slip stitch into the top of this. Now we've just completed round 2. Now, At this point, we could opt to do a third round in double crochets, like variation 1, or we could change colors and do to another color, or we could stop and change colors and do the half double crochet round, but I think I'm going to do variation 1. So in this case, just so you get the feel for it, this next row is going to be a double crochet row. 1, 2, 3 chain ups to represent that double crochet. Then we're going to work a double crochet in each double crochet along the side. We're at the corner space, and yes, we are going to do 2 more double crochets to complete this side. Chain 2 to form the space. Then 2 more double crochets on this side to start the next side and turn the corner. And remember, it's this one right here. So we're going to do 1 double crochet in each double crochet across on this side. Now, when we finish this, we're going to go back and look at it, because I want you to note that each side we add a total of 4 more double crochets. So the earlier row had 7 double crochets, and this row on this side has 11. Let's check our work. We have 2 in the corner, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the side, and then 2 more in the next corner. So 7 plus 2 is 11. We did it right. We're going to do the same thing by making our corner space and working 2 double crochets in the space, and then working 1 double crochet on each of the next 7. And now, this is our first stitch here, so we're going to work 1 more double crochet here, 1 more in the next one, and we already have the chain up that counts as this double crochet. But let's just check our work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we did it right. We did it right, so let's do a slip stitch. Now, the maximum number of colors that you're going to put on one of the motifs is 3. Now, we've done the first 3 rounds in the first color. So this is where we will break it off. And on the next round, we can either do variation 1 or variation 4. The only difference between this one and this one is on what row do you place the half double crochet row. On variation 1, it is placed in the 4th row position. 1, 2, 3, 4. On this one, it is placed in the 5th row position. 1, 2, 3. This is a double crochet row, and this is the half double crochet row. So the difference between this motif and this one is that on the next row, we're going to do the half double crochet row. The reason we inserted a half double crochet row is to make the pieces look slightly different, even though it's the same pattern. So on each side, you have 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's where you place the half double crochet row and where you change the colors that make each of the motifs of each variation of the background motif look different. So we're going to weave in this end. I'm only going to show this once for beginners. And what I like to do is I have my end up and I'll slip under the 2 loops, because when that loop folds over, it makes that stitch. And then I am simply going to wrap it around the back loop. And if you get to the corner and you need to change direction a little bit, I do 1 back stitch and a little bit more. That will not come out. And then I trim my yarn. One of the rules when you're working on a scrap Afghan is you always weave in your color, your yarn ends, before you move to the next color. Okay, we are now ready to start our next color. I've decided that I'm going to do variation 1, which on the 4th row, I will do a row of half double crochets. Now, if you notice, this is where I ended off and wove my end in. Whenever I start a new color, I choose a different side. It could be opposite or next to it, but just a different side, so we don't always have the chain ups over each other. So, I just pick this stitch and I'm inserting my hook under the first 2 loops, the top 2 loops. I'm picking up a loop. Now notice that loop is formed by about a 5 or 6 inch yarn tail and the feeder yarn. And now I'm going to chain 2. The reason I chain 2 is because that's the distance I need to be the same height as a half double crochet for the rest of the round. I'm going to pull through until this yarn tail comes through to the other side. That sort of locks that chain up in place. I'll go back at the end and weave that end in, but for now it's locked in place. Now I'm going to do a half double crochet. I'm going to yarn over my hook, insert my hook into the very next stitch, pull up a loop. I now have 3 loops on my hook, similar to a double crochet, but instead of pulling through 2 and pulling through 2, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That makes a half double crochet. So yarn over the hook, insert the hook, pull up the loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, or pull through 3. Yarn over the hook, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. And I'm going to proceed making 1 half double crochet in each stitch along the side, just as if I was doing it on the other rows. When I get to the corner space, I'm going to work 2 half double crochets, chain 2 to form the corner space, and 2 half double crochets to start the next side. Just like we did before, we want to place a half double crochet in each one of the stitches, so when you're coming off of a corner, you've got to make sure you get that first stitch. Otherwise, you're going to lose stitches on your side. Now, on the last row, we had 11 stitches on the side. So we're going to add 2 on each end. So now we're going to end up with 15 on each side. So let's work down and then we'll count it off. That's 2 in the corner. Now I'm going to do the chain 2 to form the corner space, but I'm going to go back to the side and take a look at it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, we did that side correctly. And I'm going to proceed around and do the exact same thing all the way around. I just love to sit out here and listen to the water. Chain 2 for the corner. 2 more half double crochets to start the next side and get that first stitch. On the last row, I always like to double check before I close it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have them all. Now I can close it off. Trim my yarn. Once again, I'll show you this because I want to show you what to do with the other end. On this first one, which is our feeder yarn, I'm going to go, it looks like I'm going 2 stitches over, but actually when you pull it, it's only 1 stitch over. That's our beginning yarn. Now that locks it in. Some people like to do other things where they do a chain 1 and then some back stitches with their crochet hook. If you like that method, go for it. I found over the years that that sometimes comes undone, especially if you trimmed your end a little bit, it'll wiggle out on you. And this will not wiggle out. Now, that was the one like I showed you on the orange. This is the beginning or the yarn tail at the very beginning of the round. That one's already kind of locked in because I crocheted 2 chains with it. But what I like to do is give it a little more security and just weave this tail end in. And all you have to do is lock it down and then wrap it around. Now I had turned this square to the back side, so I'm actually going through and wrapping around the back loop, but because I'm right-handed, I have to do it from this side. It's faster this way. And if you really want to secure, you can do a back stitch and do a little bit more. But at this point, you can cut it off. It is not coming out. Always trim your ends so that you know that you've actually woven in the end, the yarn tail. Okay, now let's go on to the next color. Well, the wind has picked up, and so I had to reorganize a little bit. And I want to show you how to put on that last row of this particular background motif. Now remember, this is variation 1, and variation 1 means that this particular row that we worked was a half double crochet row. So that means the final row is a double crochet row. Just like we had done before, we're going to insert our hook under 2 loops on the edge. We're going to pull up a loop, and we're going to chain 3 this time because 3 is the height of a double crochet. We're going to pull the tail end through, and we're ready to go. And we're going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch along this edge until we get to the corner space. In the corner space, we're going to work 2 double crochets just as we did before. Chain 2 and 2 more double crochets. chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And just like we did on the prior rows, we want to make sure that we get that first stitch. Now, on the last row, we had 15 stitches along each edge. Well, on this row, if you add 4 to that, two extras for each of the corners, you're going to have 19 stitches. It's very important to make sure that your counts are correct on this particular motif. It does show up. If you're off 1, you might want to just do an extra stitch, but I prefer making sure that we get it done correctly the first time. As long as you get that first stitch, you're very likely to get it perfect. Okay, as we're approaching this particular corner, we can then check our work on the first full side that we just completed. We have to put 2 in the corner. And I'm going to chain 2 just because I want to look at it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're set. That's a perfect side. Now we can proceed on to the next side. Isn't this tomato red just the most gorgeous color? Okay, now, I got to pull that back a little bit. Get this one here. And just like we've done before, we're going to continue on each side until we get to the end. So I'll meet you there. All right, we're getting to the very end of this round. And we're just finishing up the last of the stitches. And as I did before, on the joining, when we're finishing up the last of the stitches, I like to count them on that side to check our work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We are set. Oops, I'm losing that little part of that stitch. And we're going to slip stitch. Let's do that again. I caught the tail end. We're going to slip stitch in the top of the chain 3 to join and end off. We'll weave those ends in before we go on to the borders, but that is how you make a variation 1 background motif. Now, if you go out to my website, twistedyarns.com, you can actually download the pattern. It's available in written format, so you can follow along with it. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you see, please click my picture to subscribe. Happy crocheting!